Welcome to SA Music Box. My guest tonight is Julian Von Plato, the founder of Pocket TV and Balcony TV here in South Africa, and he's chosen his 3 songs for us to enjoy. Check it out. Good evening and welcome to SA Music Box. This is episode 7. Yes, we are there already. My guest tonight is the amazing Julian Von Plato. It sounds very exotic, and that's because he kind of is from a musical point of view. And he's my guest tonight on SA Music Box. Julian, welcome to the SA Music Box studio.
Thanks, man. How you doing?
Very cool, thank you. So, Jules,
Yes.
you are, the best way to describe you are a digital video revolutionary, I would say that.
I like that word.
And
Evangelist, revolutionary.
and somebody who has played a huge part in SA music and promoting SA and African music.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, it's been my passion for the last 30 years.
For the audience at home, for those who don't know, Julian's also the founder of Pocket TV and also was the man behind Balcony TV in South Africa for many years.
Yeah, for 7 years. Coming
7
to a
years.
sad end finally.
So how many artists do you think you, like, over that time?
540.
Okay, to be
To be exact, because
That
I
was-
actually counted them because this is our last
quite-
month of Balcony TV South Africa.
quite
before
specific.
our new brand.
500.
540 artists that I've recorded on Balcony TV South Africa. The first being Shadow Club,
yeah.
and the last will probably have been Art Matthews.
Now, I stand to be corrected, but I don't think anyone can boast a stat like that in South Africa.
No, I hope not, because I think it's a pretty cool one.
Yeah.
And that excludes all the other artists that I've shot for different other shows. So probably you're looking, with me and my team, we've probably recorded in excess of about 1,000 music videos in some way or format over the last 8 years.
Okay, for me, that's quite a decent investment in SA music.
I hope so.
So it makes me very curious. Where did your musical journey begin?
Sure. Sure. Now you're going back years. There was a band called Suburbia.
Yep.
John Cecil, Andy Cartwright, back in the late 80s. They were the first real alternative band I ever saw live, and I idolized them. And John kind of became my manager because I wanted to get into the music industry.
Yeah.
I called myself Julian Kent. Why? I have no idea.
That has a
That's kind of where it started.
nice
And I
ring to
started
it.
recording demos and things like that. And then I got into, my first band I ever managed was Amersham.
I remember them, yeah.
Yeah.
They were a top band. Huh?
Yeah, that was the first band I ever
Weren't they
managed.
Durban-based?
No, Joburg Boys.
Joburg-based.
Yeah, Nathan, Adam, and the boys. Great band as well. They were then signed to BMG back in the day. Yeah, so I kind of, and I actually had this conversation with Paul Thackeray last week, is that the one thing I never did in this industry was work for a major record label.
Yes, I know that, yeah.
Yeah, it's the one thing I've never done.
You've done everything but that.
Everything but work for a major.
Having worked for a major, I don't think that's a bad thing.
Yeah, it's
to
kind
be
of like,
very honest.
I've been on the fringes of it for so many years. I mean, myself and Paul Paiella had a little indie label. We tried various things, but never in a major. So that's the one thing I've never done in this industry.
So I'm curious, what sparked your passion for SA music particularly? Because when I look at your career, right, there's an incredible skew to SA music particularly, which I find amazing, and it's great, by the way.
My mom.
Yep.
That'd be my mother. My mom was a model back in the 60s and the 70s.
Yep.
My godfather was Cedric Sampson.
Oh, wow, okay.
And my mom used to own a little clothing shop called Goofy's, and she used to dress all the South African artists. So I used to meet these guys as a toddler. And literally I used to watch Ced and them play, and Cindy and this, and at places like the Chelsea Underground and things like that in the 70s and the 80s. And I kind of got inspired by it. And when I finished school, I sat there and I was like, and now?
Julian, you brought up something really interesting, because I remember interviewing Steve Harris.
Yes. And another person who's been
some
a
weeks
major
ago.
part of my life in this industry.
Yeah, but he spoke about Goofies as well.
Yes.
I think he started working there or something.
Yes, correct.
So
So it's kind of like, through the years, so it's kind of like, it's all intertwined in so many different ways. So I've kind of had music in my blood since I was born, I suppose, and it was inevitable I would be involved in some way or the other. And
did you ever imagine that you'd have such a profound influence? When I say profound influence, I think for the benefit of the audience and listeners out there, just give us an idea of some of the initiatives over the years that you've championed.
Sure. Okay, so Balcony TV obviously being one of them in South Africa. Pocket TV, which we started with myself and Greg, my partner, which was literally about mobile video production and creating a platform for video in the mobile context. I did a project a couple of years ago which called Stage 360 with BBM and a girl by the name of Sarah, which was an amazing initiative to discover new urban talent. There's been so many, Vinyl Sessions, which is a new show which we did, which I do with Benji, which we shoot at his shop actually, because I'm a big lover of vinyl as well. And we've had Cindy on there and various other artists, and there's just been so many. And probably the South African Music Awards I feel is my greatest accomplishment. During the heydays of when MTN was sponsoring it, we produced over 500 short-form video clips around the Samas over a 3-year period.
Wow, that's amazing.
Which we called Sama TV. I did the very first live stream of the Samas. I was the first backstage host of the Samas. And I remember, I think one of the first years I was, Zebra and Giraffe won their first Sama. And I was backstage there in my little Nokia N91 interviewing Greg. And I was like, and it was so funny because I'd said the year to him before that, I said, you're going to win next year. And he did. And it was like kind of, I've been there. It's just been part of my life. And I still am with the Samas. I go to the meetings still. It's kind of like, they call me the furniture because I've been with the Samas, and I was a judge on Sama 1 to 5.
Right.
So, and the first publication I've ever worked with was with Diane Kutzer.
Okay.
Music Africa. Do you remember
Diane
that?
Well,
I used to write for her for Music Africa. So I was a journalist, and then I got into video, and video is the future.
You've been there, and you've done it all, as you say, outside of being in a major label, which for me is very interesting because it means you have a very unique perspective.
I hope so.
As opposed to most people who worked in majors, you sort of develop a certain perspective on the industry, and a very boxed perspective on the industry. Whereas you've come and met tons of other musicians from all walks of life, people with different challenges, worked in different aspects of the industry. So you have a full 360 view on that.
I hope so. And sometimes, you never know. Yeah.
Which brings me to your first song for SA Music Box. What is your first track that you chose?
This song was very influential when I was working as a producer at Cube Music back in the day at Middlebox House. You remember Middlebox House in Auckland Park?
Yes.
We were recording so many artists back then, TKZ, etc. But there was one artist that stood out for me in the 90s, and it was It was Born in a Taxi by Black Sunshine. And
that
song,
choice.
I still get goosebumps when I think of that song. It was just, when I first heard it, I thought it was an international song because I was like, wow, this can't be local. The production was just incredible. But it was just, you can hear that song today and it'll still give you goosebumps.
Well, I can tell you this. I mean, I played it, I think, a few weeks ago, and I know Benji played it a couple of weeks ago too. It's one of my favorite SA songs as well.
Definitely stands in my top 5 of all time, no doubt about it.
Wonderful choice. That's Julian Von Plato's first choice on SA Music Box. It's Born in a Taxi by Black Sunshine. Welcome back. That was Born in a Taxi by Black Sunshine, Julian Von Plato's first choice. Julian, it's been such an interesting conversation so far. I'm very keen to know which are the SA artists or the artists from South Africa that you think have made the biggest impact on the SA music industry as a whole.
Wow. Okay. That's a tough one.
I know.
There's artists that I've known throughout my career. And I suppose Springbok New Girls kind of honor jumps to mind because of the whole sound of what Springbok New Girls have done until where he is right now. And now he's painting, I suppose watching artists like that, Art Matthews, obviously Just Ginger, Brent, I played in a band with Brent when we worked at Music together in Eastgate, called Soviet Blue, I think it was called. But, these guys have kind of been there and the entire part of my musical journey as well. There's so many. It really is difficult. I mean, watching Prime Circle from nowhere to where they are today. Yeah. I mean, I remember the very first time I heard them at Gresham. I was like, who's this band?
Yeah.
It's a difficult one. It really is.
I know, but this show is all about difficult questions. If there was any band, I know Sarin Gas, which became Seether, was exported. 363 was exported. Which is the band that has not been exported South Africa or successfully that you think, given the nature of their talent, should have been?
Should have been.
Probably a better way to...
It hasn't broken it internationally. Because, I mean, you got guys like Jeremy Loops, which I remember our first balcony show with him. That thing is still our most watched balcony TV ever. Right. Sure, man. You know, there are so many young artists. There's artists like Wandile, who I just think is an incredible talent.
Yeah, I think we played quite a few of his songs.
Yeah, there's a young guy that I've been working with recently, Simba C, who is an amazing talent. Akinwala James, another one that's like a Nigerian Jimi Hendrix. Yeah. You know, it really is. It's a tough one.
Well, I'll give you an easy one now, right? What do you think? Oh,
I want to pack them all up and take them with me overseas. You know what I'm saying? I just want to take a whole box of them.
Well, I ask a lot of these questions because I know it's difficult to choose, and it's trying to, I suppose, give the audience an insight into how many people have been in this industry and how many people have influenced the industry. You know.
But if I can add, and maybe can I do a little self-punt just for a second?
Do a self-punt.
Okay, so you know Balcony TV is finishing up the end of this month.
Yes.
So we've kind of partnered with a couple of international guys. So a young lady by the name of Marie from London, a guy from Zurich by the name of Christoph, and a couple of other guys from around the world.
Right.
And the idea is to set up a musicians network where we offer opportunities for artists to play overseas, or to come here and play. So it's kind of creating a network for performing, for video, but all in the digital space.
Yeah.
So I think, you know, the idea is that we want to get that next artist out.
I think it's a very smart idea. It's the very basis of social networking, right?
Exactly. Now done in a digital format, we're calling it Discover TV.
Yeah.
And the idea is exactly that, to discover new music in your city through video.
Fantastic. Speaking of new music and old music and all of that, what is depressed mode?
Okay, now my real secret.
That was coming.
I am the biggest Depeche Mode fan on the planet. There's some guys in South Africa that will argue with me, but I think most people know me as being an incredibly huge Depeche Mode fan. I think I've seen them 7 times now, and I've always had a love for Depeche Mode.
Yeah.
And a young guy, well, he's younger, I call him young because he's younger than me. Everybody younger than me is younger. Mark Wilson, a mate of mine, we started jamming together. And the idea behind it was that we decided, okay, let's take a Depeche Mode song, strip it down into its rawest form, and reinterpret it in our own way.
Yeah.
So we started to do this, and every week on a Tuesday, we'd choose a song, get back to the house, jam it, record it, then go into my garden. I've got a Pride of India tree in my garden, and shoot a music video. We did this for 50 weeks. Literally shot 50 Depeche Mode music videos.
That's unbelievable.
And kind of out of that was born Depressed Mode, which is an emotional, stripped down state of music. That's what it means.
I like that when you commit to something, you really commit to something, Jules.
Yeah. And now we've done an album.
Yeah.
And called Stripped, which is now available on all digital formats. And last week we released it on cassette.
Yeah.
On cassette, yes, you heard that right. Those things that you wind up with a pencil.
Wow. I hope if you're listening to this, I hope you have a cassette player, because if you want to listen to Depressed Mode, that's what you need.
Yeah, you need a cassette player. And then, and it's kind of like has gone from not just being Depeche Mode, but we now do a variety of 80s and original stuff. But
on the same basis, I assume.
Yeah, all very stripped down in this emotional.
Rearranged.
I think, my voice is kind of low, so I don't go for those high notes. It's very much of a Nick Cave style, as we were chatting about it earlier.
I'm sure you're used to it, though.
Yeah.
From the old days. You spoke about garden, and that's interesting because I see your second choice for SA Music Box is by Egyptian Nursery.
Yeah, and this goes back to Benji, a guy by the name of Craigie Dodds, who I still rate as the best producer to come out of this country.
Right.
He now lives in the UK. This guy could make music like I've never heard. And Ariane, I'm forgetting her name slightly now, she passed away a couple of years ago. But I worked with these guys right in the early days. Benji signed them. And this song for me was one of the best produced songs I ever heard in my life. And it was probably my favorite. It's one of my other favorite 90s tracks out of the South. There were so many great bands in the 90s.
I know.
I mean, where are all of them, you know? There were amazing artists in the 90s. I loved it.
Somewhere out there, but the music they left us with would stay forever, right?
Yeah.
So this is Julian Von Plato's second choice for SA Music Box. It's a track by Egyptian Nursery called God's Window.
Great song.
Remember it well. Welcome back to SA Music Box right here on Hot 91.9 and Hot TV. My guest tonight is Julian Von Plato, and we've just played two of his choices. He's having a tough time making them, but he's making great choices.
Oh, it's so difficult. There's so everybody says to me about international.
Yeah.
We got the best talent right here on our shores.
Yeah.
And and it's something that for me just stands out more and more every day is the amount of incredible talent we have in this country, and we don't nurture it enough. We don't grow it enough.
Yeah.
And I suppose that's the one advantage of me being outside of them in the majors, as you spoke about, is I don't have to worry about any of that. I don't have to go through all the hoops and everything that you have to in a major. I can I like somebody, I shoot a video. I try and give them an opportunity.
It's the way it should be, actually.
Yeah,
as simple as that.
Yeah, let's just do something. Why wait now?
So if there was any piece of advice that you, let's say it this way, what is the normal piece of advice that you would give to musicians?
Believe in yourself, 100%. Believe in who you are and believe in your own sound. I mean, it's not about being a copycat or anything like that. Just if your sound sounds like AKA, so what? If your sound sounds like Jeremy Loops, so what? It's what you are. Be true to who you are as a musician, and therefore the best and the most honest music will come out of you. And that's the only thing I can ever say to anybody. Don't care what anybody else says, because if you believe in yourself, others will believe in you.
I like that piece of advice. Now, as we get to the end of this, tell us about Afroacoustic and how do people get in touch with you?
Yeah, so Afroacoustic, and a big shout out to Sean from Rockets, who's the owner of Rockets. Sean and I met for a cup of coffee one day through a friend of mine, Jamie, and it was like, well, let's put a show together at Rockets. I'm showcasing the best in young African talent because we are running out of venues. And this is our biggest problem we have right now in Josie specifically.
It's been my weekly theme. On this particular show, everyone who's been in here has complained about venues.
It's the same thing. We just don't have venues. And Rockets have been incredibly supportive, and they're like, cool, we'll give you a Thursday night. We'll pay for the artists. You host it. You bring in whoever you want. The theme is very much acoustic, African, Afro-pop kind of vibe. A little bit of house every now and then, but really 3 young artists come and perform every single Thursday night at Rockets. It's free entry, so you can come along and just check out incredible artists, and all of that content obviously gets created for short form video content because that's what we do, and gets recorded, and it gives them another platform, and then we'll shoot in the box, which is another show which we do there as part of it. We shoot interviews with them. So again, what I'm trying to do is give back the artists content that they can use to promote themselves. So many artists say to me today, Julian, the one thing that we appreciate so much is you're shooting all these videos and everything for us. They get us gigs. And if I can at least use the videos that we make for these artists to help them get more and make a living for themselves, well, then I'm doing something right.
Well, I mean, I suppose video has opened up the doors for everyone. It's not like in the old days where you had to wait for a TV station to play it. I mean, a show like this is now on video.
Exactly.
Completely on video.
Yeah.
For that reason, so that you can share it and people can share it around the world. Right?
And live stream is such a powerful thing these days. And I keep saying that to artists, even if you're jamming in your garage, live stream the jam.
Yeah,
it gives people an opportunity to see you for who you are.
Well, Jules, coming to your last track for SA Music Box, something that was released in the last 5 years.
Yes, and it was not a difficult choice, this one. And my wife Daniela, who you know as well, also came from the music industry. She worked at a major. Over the last month and a half, 2 months, I have heard nothing but Art Matthews in my house. And I'm so happy to say that, because
how do you compete with Art Matthews in the house?
It's an incredible album. And I know Art personally for many, many years. I still remember seeing him for the first time as Cat's Chambers 20 years ago at Morgan's Cat at the waterfront in Randburg. And I've seen him grow. And I think to see a young man like that grow to where he is now and the talent he is, and watching him play on the Cure Bill last weekend, it was incredible. And this album is, from track 1 to the end, is superb in every kind of way. Artist played everything on the album himself. He's kind of done a Prince on us. And it's a phenomenally good album, and it easily rates as one of my top albums over the last 5 years.
So, okay, I mean, listen, I can agree with that. I mean, Art Matthews and Just Ginger. Ginger was actually, probably my favorite South African band of all time. I just loved everything they've done so far.
And I'm still so upset they didn't crack the States the way they should have.
So that's your answer to the band that should have done it.
Yeah,
it should have been Just Ginger.
Yeah, they went. They should have cracked it because they deserve to be global.
This is Jules's final choice for SA Music Box. It's the incredible Art Matthews with a track of his new album called Justified. Julian, thank you. You've provided some great insight for us. When I say us, I mean myself included, and the audience out there into the interesting musical world that you live in.
Well, thank you for doing this show. I think it's important. We need more stuff like this out there. The more of a voice we have in the music industry and in shows like this.
Well, I think the aim is simply to connect the industry with its greatest asset, which are the musicians. And for too long, it's been too far apart. And you and I share the same intent and the same ambition is to bring all of that together.
I have one question for you.
Yeah.
The next Eskimo Rider album, when's it coming?
I just released the new one in September last year. So each one takes me about 4 or 5 years to record. So
it's going to be a while. It's going to be a while. We can depress mode Eskimo Rider together.
I look forward to listening to your stuff, and all the best, Jules, and keep on keeping on.
Thank you so much for having me.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers.
Thank you to Julian Von Plato for gracing us tonight on SA Music Box. That was his 3 songs to take us down memory lane. Check it out on Facebook and YouTube on the Hot 91.9 site.